Are you thinking about moving to Dallas, Texas? Well, I want to give you the top reasons why people who live in Dallas don't like Dallas. And then I'm going to give you the top reasons why people who don't like Dallas, why they eventually love Dallas. And make sure to stick to the very end because the last two reasons are my favorite. So let's get right to it. So I want to first share with you the cons, and then I'm going to share with you the pros. And the very first con has to do with unpredictable weather. Now, a lot of other cities are predictable. Let's say, for example, California, always in the 60s and the 70s. Well, not all parts of California, but some parts. Chicago in the winter, we know it's just freezing cold out there, as well as New York. So it's very predictable. Here in Dallas, it's pretty unpredictable. So you just don't know what weather you're going to get. So what do? Every morning, I wake up, I check the weather app. I check what's the weather today here in Dallas because I got to know what kind of clothes I need to wear. Do I have to wear a sweater? Do I have to wear a jacket? Or can I just wear a short sleeve shirt? It just really depends. So that's kind of the downside because when we have unpredictable weather, what happens is a lot of kids get sick, right? Like during the winter, all of a sudden we get into the spring and it's like, oh my goodness, it's getting warm. It's getting really good. And then all of a sudden, boom, we hit rock bottom and it's cold and kids are not prepared for this. And this is why my kid has been coughing for quite some time because of this unpredictable weather. I wish we had predictable weather, but because we don't, it's unfortunate. And so this is kind of a thing where you just need to check your weather every day here in the Dallas area. The second reason has to do with property taxes being too high. And a lot of people here in Dallas, we complain about it. It's like, man, it's just way too high. We're talking a little above 2%. So let's say, for example, you purchase a house at $500,000 and 2% of that is about $10,000. And so $10,000 every year, you got to pay that property tax. So you're talking about a little above $800 a month. And that is not small money. That's big money because paying $800 every month just on property tax that you're never going to get back, that's just like, it feels like a waste of money. And so that's not good being in Dallas. But if we compare it to, let's say in California, let's just say California property tax, I think it's about maybe 1%. So you buy a house at $1 million. $1 million times 1% is $10,000. So basically you're paying the same dollar amount for a house in California that's $1 million at $10,000 property tax versus here in Dallas, house prices are $500,000, but 2%, and that's going to be $10,000. So you are paying the same amount of money, but you are paying higher percentage, and that's what gets us. We're like, oh my goodness, right? And this is one of the reasons why I think when it comes with investments, some investors are hesitant to purchase more homes because of the property tax being so high. So let's say, for example, they get a rent of $2,000 and their property tax is like, let's just say $600, then they're netting $1,400 a month as long as they don't have a loan. So this is where a lot of people, a lot of investors, they contact me, ask me about loan questions, and then they kind of break down the payment and they're like, I don't know if I want to really invest in a house just because property taxes are so high. And then there's some investors are like, oh, it's okay because we do know that the Dallas market is going to continue to grow and we'll get money, we'll get equity when house prices go up. So that's kind of the pros and cons when it comes with investment. But we do have that negative, that downside of property taxes being so high. But here's another thing too, is that let's say you purchase a house at $500,000 and the appraiser later on down the line comes every year, they tell you how much your house is worth and they put it above than what you really think it's worth, then you can fight that and you can bring down your house value so that you don't have to pay as much property taxes. So I do that every year because house prices keep going up, and so I think my house isn't as much as the appraiser says, and sometimes I get the win, sometimes I don't, so it just really depends. So that's the downside with property taxes being high in Dallas. The third con of Dallas has to do with its long commutes to work. Now, Dallas being such a big land here in this area, it's just the land is so big. And so back then when there wasn't as much traffic, when there wasn't as much congestion on the roads, it was a lot easier. But now there being so much traffic adds an extra 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on where you go to work. That commute, it gets longer. And so that's kind of the downside. Now, this is very important because if you choose the wrong area, let's say you know where you're going to work, but you choose the wrong area, the wrong city where to live, then you might be commuting for quite some time, for years, and you're like kind of just stuck on that part because it's a long commute every day, 5 days a week. And this is where my expertise of understanding this area will come into your help, because I know, hey, if you live there, commutes can be really long to work, this road is terrible, etc. And so that is why if you're thinking of moving to Dallas, then you can call, text, email us, whatever you prefer, and we're happy to help you move to Dallas and guide you through that whole process, so you're not like stuck in the car all the time. But this is a problem with long commutes to work. So let's say, for example, you work in downtown Dallas and you are commuting from, let's say, Prosper. Oh man, that toll is going to cost you as well. And I can help you with that as well, because when you're commuting from one place to another place on the toll, that's going to add up like $10 a day. Multiply that by, let's say, about 20 weekdays or so. We're talking $200 plus on that toll. So that also is not easy. So just to let you know, that's kind of the downside, where you have long commutes to work, and then you have those extra tolls that you got to pay because you want to shorten that commute time. This is why you want to make sure you choose the right area and not mess up and not end up regretting having to live in that house for who knows how long. Now, the fourth reason why people don't like Dallas has to do with there being too many bugs. And I hate this reason. I hate there being too many bugs in Dallas. It's not because I'm scared of bugs. That's not my point. I'm not scared of a centimeter bug. Don't get me wrong. I am scared of rats, by the way, like possums or whatever. I'm scared of those things because those things are super dirty. But I'm not scared of like tiny bugs. But the reason why I hate this so much is because my wife and my 4-year-old girl, I don't get why my 4-year-old kiddo is scared of bugs. She gets it from her mom, obviously. But when there's a bug, my wife, what she does is she gets a book, and she gets like this really like thick book, and she throws it at the bug. I think she thinks that the bug's gonna faint, but in reality, she's the one that faints over a half a centimeter bug. And she thinks that the bug's gonna run away, or she doesn't want it to run away. She thinks the bug's gonna faint or she's gonna kill the bug, but for some reason she throws this book. It's not like it's like a foot away from her. It's like she throws it when she's 10 feet away, and she thinks she's gonna hit the bug, but then the bug runs away and we can't catch the bug. So we got a problem right here in Dallas. And then my 4-year-old girl, we go outside and we're out in the park, and parks have a lot of bugs, don't they? And she's thinking like, okay, she needs to get away from all the bugs. But anyways, whenever she sees a bug, she screams at the top of her lungs, and she's like, she runs away. She's like, bug, 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 and she runs away. So anyways, this is the reason why I hate bugs. My point is, if you don't like bugs, be prepared of Dallas, because they're not everywhere, but they are out there. And that's why we have pest control every few months. The guy comes out, pest control, so that we don't have bugs, and my life is at peace. So don't get me wrong, bugs aren't everywhere, but they're out here in Dallas. And the fifth con of Dallas has to do with allergies and its air quality issues. Now, when it comes to allergy season, some people are allergic. And so I've had people who come here and they weren't allergic. They were like, I didn't know I was allergic to the season, to the pollen, whatever it is. And they come here and they're like, oh my goodness, I'm allergic. And then they start like, sneezing, coughing, runny nose, whatever their allergic reactions are. And so that's kind of the downside of Dallas. And I've seen a lot of people who come here, they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't know. And then they have to take medication or supplements, whatever it is, to get rid of all those allergies. So we do have some air quality issues, of course, not as bad as other cities, other states, but we do have that here. So just to forewarn you that we're not like a perfect weather out here, unpredictable weather, and also we do have some air quality issues. It may not be as bad as you think, but for some people who are a bit more sensitive, yes, you're probably or you might experience this when you move out here. So now that you know why people in Dallas don't like Dallas, now let me share with you why people in Dallas love Dallas, and make sure to stick to the end because the last two reasons are my favorite. So the very first pro of Dallas has to do with no state income tax. And that is amazing because let's say, for example, you came from a state where you paid income tax and all of a sudden you move out to Dallas, Texas, and you're doing your taxes and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't have to pay as much taxes. This is awesome. This is amazing. And you love Texas. And once you get used to this, you go to another state, you don't want to pay state income tax because you're used to not paying it here. Of course, as time goes on, you kind of get used to it, but it's great to know that you don't have to pay state income tax. Now, the con of Dallas is that we have high property tax, a bit above 2%, and that kind of offsets the no state income tax. So high property tax, no state income tax kind of meets in the middle, and it kind of at the end of the day becomes very similar to other states. Let's say you have a 1% property tax and you pay state income tax. So that's kind of pros and cons, but it is a pro that we don't have to pay state income tax. So the second reason why people love Dallas has to do with its growth, its development. There is a lot of growth happening, a lot of development in Dallas, as I'm sure you're aware of, because all these major companies are moving to Dallas. It's a great opportunity. It is so much growth, so much development that here in Dallas, we weren't ready for this. With all these roads trying to be expanded and we're just like in a hot mess. That's why there's so much traffic and congestion because of all this growth. And this is actually great for investors, for those people who think that house prices are going to go up, which I'm sure they will go up eventually because they always go up. Yes, we have like dips here and there, but at the end of the day, house prices do continually go up. And so investors love Dallas because of all this growth, all this development that's happening. And what this does is it provides residents in Dallas a huge job market, a lot of opportunities, a lot of networking. So this is great for residents in Dallas because let's say you got to find a job. Man, there are just so many opportunities here in Dallas. And this is why I love Dallas. And this isn't just for my present and my future in Dallas, but it's also for my daughters if she does stay in Dallas. As long as she doesn't run away from bugs and she's okay with that, then she'll probably stay in Dallas. Let's say she stays in Dallas and it is a bright future for her moving forward. And so if you're thinking, oh my goodness, am I moving to Dallas too late? No, it's not too late. The sooner the better, of course, but it's not too late. And I think Dallas provides a lot of opportunities, a lot of jobs, great job market growth and development for people in Dallas. Now, a third pro of living in Dallas, and this is one of my favorites, is that we are in a great location for travel. Now, here in Dallas, there aren't like too many things to do. Of course, you can drive to like Houston, Austin, College Station, not really, but San Antonio. You can drive here and there, but really there isn't like that many things to do, but there are still things to do. Now, you might get bored living in Dallas and you want to go travel, and this makes it convenient. Or maybe not just travel, but for work purposes. You have to fly over to another state for work. This is amazing because Dallas, Texas, we are in the middle of America, as you are aware of. So let's say, for example, you want to take a vacation with your 4-year-old kid to Cancun. We're talking about roughly 3-hour flight, and that's pretty manageable. Let's say you want to go to Los Angeles, LA. That's about a little over 3 hours. Let's talk about Vegas. 3 hours or so, a little less than 3 hours. Let's talk about Chicago. Chicago is like a little over 2 hours. And so my family, we used to go to Chicago quite often. 2.5 hour flight, it feels very short. And that extra hour makes a huge difference. And so let's say you want to go to New York, a little over 3 hours. So here, location wise, you want to go to Orlando, you want to go to Disney World, then we're talking about 3 hours or so. So everywhere you go really is like a 3 hour average time. And that makes that flight for travel or for work, whatever you got to go for, it makes it very convenient. And if you have a young kid, this is going to make parents' life a lot easier. So this is why I love Dallas, because of its location. And the fourth and final one is my favorite, and this has to do with affordable housing. Dallas is great. This is the number one reason why I love Dallas, is because of affordable housing. I'm from California and I've lived in Los Angeles and LA. And if I continue to live there, then I probably would continue to be renting. I wouldn't own a home, but Dallas, this is what it provides for me and my family, to own a house. And this is a great opportunity. This is why a lot of people in their 20s and 30s are moving to Dallas, and people who are retired, they move to Dallas because they can purchase a home. If I were to live in LA, try to purchase a house that's over $1 million, oh man, that's not easy, because income needs to be at a certain amount to get that kind of jumbo loan. And that's probably why I would not have been able to purchase a house in LA. But here in Dallas, my family and I, great, we don't have to keep renting. I don't have to keep renting for the rest of my life. And that's good to know, because that puts my daughter, it puts me at peace, because my daughter can always have a house to live in the future. And of course, you know, if she wants to buy homes later down the line, hey, I'll help her as much as I can because of the affordable housing here in Dallas. So if you're young, or maybe you're tired and you're thinking, you know what, you want to own a home, then Dallas is a great city for you to move to. So now you know why people in Dallas don't like Dallas, but then why at the end of the day they love Dallas, because of all the good reasons here in Dallas. And if you're thinking of moving to Dallas, feel free to call, text, email us, whatever you prefer, and we're happy to help you move to Dallas, Texas. And if you like this video, make sure to click that like button. If you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.